Hey there folks, welcome to this video, and here is going to be a proper reflection on the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Of course, on Sunday, when the race actually happened, I did a bit of what's called an instant race reaction. Essentially just giving my brief thoughts as the race ended over what was, a 2.5 minute video. And of course that was before the final results and the final judgment on, well, Ferrari's fuel infringement. So in this video I'm going to be talking about the race itself, almost in full, and talk about a couple of different bits and pieces that I even made note of in the previous video, if you want to go check that out, as potential talking points. So let's start off by talking about the actual race itself and why, I guess, people didn't find it as, well, entertaining or whatever as it was in theory going to be. Well, it's because, well, we saw Mercedes 1-2 in quali, of course, with Bottas started at the back, and we saw Lewis do a lights to flag win with fastest lap, a whole Grand Slam. Pretty much. We also saw him get the joint record consecutive points finishes, of course, with himself. Basically, either side of Austria last season, where Mercedes just had a not Mercedes event. A bit like Germany this year, to be honest. But I think that kind of shows a point. 2019 as a season has been one that we've been quite lucky to go through. We've seen new pole sitters and new race winners. Seen new people on the podium. We've seen some bizarre podiums as well, like a return to the podium for the first time since 2014 for McLaren, and a first time on the podium and second time on the podium since 2008 for Toro Rosso. But we still saw a very similar result because of the start of the season, which, let's face it, lots of us thought were quite dull, and a couple of dud races later in the season for similar things. Mercedes did the double again, and the championship standings were Lewis and Valtteri. Hopefully we'll see something different in 2020, and maybe even more in 2021. But onto the race itself and a couple of the talking points from it. First one, and it's something that I said briefly in the last video: what happened to the race director? Some of it was quite good. Some of it was the charging Bottas, and it showed a lot of Hulkenberg's battles in his final race. But we didn't see the last lap bit, and I was there with a group of friends watching it, and we were like, hang on, they're not showing the actual battle that's happening on track. They're not showing the two Renaults and Carlos. They're not showing that battle which ended up giving Carlos 6th place in the driver's standings. And we were all really annoyed about that. We were like, what? How? But then, even though it was lap 55 for the leaders, which would have made it all the more fitting for Carlos to be shown, 55 laps, final race of the season, getting 6th place in the driver's standings. It was lap 54 for Carlos because, of course, everyone who wasn't in the top 6 got lapped. It's bittersweet, I guess. So I guess there are a couple of other talking points that we can look at from this. Firstly, Ferrari and their €50,000 fine for the fuel infringement, essentially stating, I think it was it 4 kilograms extra fuel in Leclerc's car? Or stating under by 4 kilograms to the amount that was in the car at the start of the race. The €50,000 fine is very light. It's not even a slap on the wrist, it's a bit of a brush. It's a brush across the back of someone's hand. That's where it is. I mean, if people thought that it should warrant disqualification, I get that argument. But I've been on both sides of these kinds of penalties with Ferrari this season. I've been too lenient to Ferrari, but also too harsh on Ferrari at different points as well. I mean, I was arguably too harsh on Max in my reaction to the Austrian Grand Prix. And you have to remember, this is still Ferrari getting away with nonsense things that Ferrari get away with. As much as we go, oh, it's so one-sided for Mercedes, at least on the rule side, it's still quite one-sided for Ferrari. And then let's talk about a couple of other little bits and pieces, and one of them that stands out for me as the final round of the 2010s is we had a bit of the race without DRS. And it was quite interesting. At the same time, we had drivers going, yeah, it proved why we need DRS. Because it did. As much as we saw the kind of on-track action that we did, it was because we had Bottas climbing through the pack. Because, of course he was still in the fastest car. And that's kind of the point, I guess. It's all fine and dandy for us to go, yeah, we can do away with drag reduction system. But there are a lot of series that have DRS and are also doing push to pass. DTM, for example. Well, there are some that just do the push to pass. IndyCar. And I think that's, again, one of the big arguments. I'm looking forward to 2021 to see if it solves the issue, but as far as we're aware, DRS is still there. Still need that extra little bit just to make it a bit more interesting, to make it a bit closer. And hopefully we'll get to a point where we don't need that because the cars will be so competitive. But this was an example in the final race of the 2010s of why something that came in first, 2011, is still quite important. And on that note, thank you so much for watching, because I've been going on arguably for a bit too long. And if you want to check out my race reaction, probably should put this at the top of the video. You can check it out in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this, even if you don't agree with me, please hit the like button, it means a lot. If you want to hear more about motorsport stuff, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon to be notified of future streams and future uploads. And until next time, see you again soon. Bye bye for now.